The New York Rangers have made a sneaky good signing, and this could have major implications moving forward. We're also going to break down another player who is struggling mightily, and the Rangers need him to pick up the pace if they have any hope of making this year's Stanley Cup playoffs. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 68% of you who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, it's free. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Now, we have a lot to get to today, including some stuff on Alexis Lafreniere we'll get to later in the episode, but the Rangers have made a very sneaky good signing that I'm actually very happy about, and I think a lot of Rangers fans will be happy about as well. So they've agreed to terms with defenseman Jackson Dorrington on a 3-year entry-level contract. Now, Jackson Dorrington, is a prospect in the Rangers system. You must be thinking, I recognize that name. Where did I hear that recently? He came over with JT Miller in the JT Miller trade from the Vancouver Canucks. And at the time, I was saying, this was a sneaky good pickup in the trade. Like, this is a guy who can come up and actually be a very, effective defenseman for them in a couple of years. It's not going to happen right away, but we'll get into it. So they've signed him to his ELC, and this is from Statboy Steven. As I expected, as NU was eliminated, the ELC is signed. Dorrington is a good defensive prospect who gives the Wolfpack some much-needed depth. That's another thing. If the Rangers do not make the playoffs, they have a lot of guys going back down to Hartford. Maybe Hartford can make a little bit of a run or at least make some noise down there in the AHL. I think that would be interesting to watch as the season obviously wraps up here in about a month. And he has upside to play for the New York Rangers. It's a matter of when, not if, in my opinion. So this is a guy who is going to, at some point, be an everyday NHLer, which I think is great. A great pickup for the Rangers, and then obviously signing him to his ELC today, and obviously from Molly Walker as well. They signed Jackson Dorrington to his 3-year entry-level contract, and Dorrington will report, this is official, to the Hartford Wolfpack on an amateur tryout for the remainder of this season. So he is going to be playing in the AHL this year. We get a look at him playing at the pro level, but again, this is a guy, by everything that everyone's saying that's watched him, will be an everyday NHLer at some point very soon. It might not be next year, but very soon. And to take a look at what he's kind of done, and again, this is a pretty big defenseman. He's nothing crazy like 6'6" or 6'7" or anything like that, but he's 6'2", 192 pounds, right, which is pretty good in his own right. And in 3 collegiate seasons at North Reading, Massachusetts, the Massachusetts native, notched 8 goals and 25 assists for 33 points in 105 games. And now, again, we all know, and he's a plus 17 as well, and we all know it's very difficult to score, in college, university hockey, what have you. And as a defenseman, putting up some decent numbers there as a, defensive option. So I think that, this is going to be a really good player for the Rangers at some point. Again, he was drafted by the Canucks in the 6th round, 176th overall in the 2022 NHL entry draft. So obviously, a couple of years ago, but he has been developing, and now he's ready to make the leap to the pro level at the right time, which is fantastic. And again, he was acquired by the Rangers in the JT Miller trade. There's a great article as well from Vince Mercogliano on kind of the Wolfpack and what they've been able to do so far this year. And there's a lot of names that should, at some point, we should see with the New York Rangers. One of them is Othmann, who we're seeing right now, and I thought this was a great article. And before we wrap this up, I did want to get into Dorrington's stats. As you can see, year after year, in 37 games, this season, 15 points on the year, 20 penalty minutes. So he's putting in that work. Obviously not a plus player this year, but I think he's going to be a pretty good prospect for this team, a guy who's going to come in and make some noise maybe in a couple of years from now. So someone to keep an eye on. He is playing pro now, or he will be, with the Hartford Wolfpack, so that should be fun to keep an eye on and to see what Hartford does down the stretch here, because it's going to be interesting. They got a lot of guys maybe coming back from the roster if the Rangers don't make the playoffs here, which is a very real possibility. But in terms of guys, in Hartford too, Othmann got his first NHL point in their last game. Insane game. Definitely did not deserve to win that game. The fact that they got 2 points out of there is absolutely insane. But nonetheless, he made a comment on his first NHL point. He said, I think it just takes the weight off my shoulders a little bit. Not that I needed it at the time. It just kind of feels good knowing that you can contribute at this level a little bit, especially in a game like that. Every game from here on is a playoff game. So again, the right attitude, right? I like that. The right mindset. We know that. And I think this is actually going to take a lot of pressures off his shoulders, right? I think he's actually going to be more free-flowing now. You might actually see him pick up some more points because he knows now, that milestone's gone. Like, it's done. We did it, right? So I wonder how he plays in their next game tomorrow night. Should be interesting to watch. But one guy who has been struggling for the New York Rangers is Alexis Lafreniere, and they need this guy to pick up the pace if they want any shot at, first of all, making the playoffs this year, and second of all, when they're done retooling. We don't know what's going to happen this offseason exactly. There's a lot of Mitch Marner's going to hit the free agent market. There's been a lot of chatter about that, so we don't know exactly what's going to happen. But forget this season. Heading forward, this contract is already not looking great because of what's happened since he signed it. Now, Alexis Lafreniere is on pace for a sub 50-point season for the fourth time in 5 seasons to start his career. But fresh off an outstanding playoff run and a new contract, the 7-year extension that he signed, should the Rangers try to move him this offseason or hope that it was just a down year? Now, I don't think they're going to try and move him. I think that they're going to, play this out and see what he can do next year. I really don't think that they're going to try and trade him, but this is concerning. This is absolutely concerning. If you took a look at his season totals, it's 40 points in 71 games. This is a guy that you just paid over $7 million for in his new contract extension, 7-year contract extension. And again, at a pretty, it's nothing crazy. It's not $11 million. He's not an elite player in this league, but it's a healthy contract, and he is not putting up the points that you'd like him to put up. And not only that, I don't always like to look into plus minus, but it does tell a story this year, and he is a minus 14, and he's not playing as much as he should. He should be like hovering around 20 minutes. So obviously his ice time is diminished as well at points this year. It has not been a good season for Alexis Lafreniere, especially because of the way that he ended last season. And, going through the playoffs and started this season, we were like, okay, this is a guy who's about to break out. This is happening right now. And it just has not happened. It hasn't, he has not followed through with it. Now, against the Canucks, he did have a pretty good game in their last game. Obviously, it was a game where the Rangers shouldn't have won, but he had 2 assists, 3 hits, and he had 15 minutes time on ice. He has 8 points in the month of March. I feel like, a player making that much should maybe have more than that, should maybe be a bit of a difference maker on your team, you would hope. But he has 8 points this month. So it's been a bit of a disappointing season for Alexis Lafreniere. And if you take a look at his last 5 games, and I feel like this is a trend that's continuing, and we're going to get into his goals because we can take a look at points all we want, but we're going to take a look at his goals in a second. But his last 5 games, he kind of does this, right? You'll have a goal and an assist against, and the goal wasn't even that great against the Columbus Blue Jackets, right? If you remember, it was a broken play. He'll have a goal and an assist. Then he'll go like 3 or 4 games without doing anything and maybe be a minus in those games. And then he'll have a game where he'll put up another 2 points, maybe not score, right? But he puts up 2 points. This has been a trend all season long. He'll have a lull of like 3 games where he doesn't do anything, and then you'll come back with like 2 points, 3 points. And then you'll have a lull of like 3 or 4 games again. Like it's inconsistent. It's so inconsistent. And if they have, any shot of making the playoffs, he's got to clean that up. And I just don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I'm more concerned about looking forward. I don't think they're going to trade him this offseason. I really don't. And heading into next year, does he continue this? Because, coming into today's game, which was 2 days ago against the Canucks, he had 1 goal in his last 18 games. And yes, he put up 2 points in that game. Now he has 1 goal in his last 19 games. This guy's got to get going. He's got to get scoring. So, and again, it's not just because of this season, because I know a lot of people believe that this season is lost at this point and they're not going to make the playoffs. They're in tough. Montreal has more games in hand. They're in real tough right now. It's still definitely possible, but it's going to be difficult. But I'm more worried about next year, right? If he never lives up to this contract, this could be a bit of a disaster. So he has to get going. We've seen flashes of it. The end of last year, the playoffs, the start of this year, we've seen it. He can do it. Where is that the last little while? It's been very interesting. But let me know in the comments what you think of the Jackson Dorrington signing. I think it's a sneaky good signing, and I think this is a guy we're going to see in the NHL in a couple of years, and obviously at the pro level starting as soon as their next game, so it should be very exciting. And let me know what you think about Alexis Lafreniere. It's been a very difficult season, I think, for the fan base to watch him put up the points that he has this season and the effort, the performances he has after what happened at the end of last season. But let me know what you think in the comments, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.